first time since 1997, and Utah won a franchise record 64 games that season and reached the finals. The Jazz have been in tune from beyond the arc, making 184 three-pointers during the winning streak, which is pretty impressive. The team that has three-pointers in a 10-game span, at least 15 every single game for the last 10 games, that's what the Utah Jazz have been able to do. They're playing with style. We've got Adrian Wojnarowski back with us, and if you listen to the Woj Pod, you know he's already been trying to uncover what the key is, because you interviewed Mike Conley, and you talked about how this team is uniquely built to be successful in a season such as this. Why is that?
Well, a team that has everybody back from last year, a program, really a program under Quinn Snyder, and the one new player, Derek Favors, returned to Utah after having played several years there. And, you know, you talk to other GMs who have young teams or have teams where they've added a lot of new pieces. They talk about, we didn't have summer league. We really didn't have a training camp. We can't practice that much. They feel like the Jazz too, and they point to it and say, that team, the way they're built and the continuity there, it really lends itself to this pandemic season.
All right, now, we don't normally do this, but I feel like we have to have a conversation while you're here, Woj, about Bradley Beal and the Washington Wizards. Right now, he's leading the NBA in scoring by 5 full points, but it seems like it doesn't matter at all. In fact, the last 10 games when he scored at least 40 points, they've still walked away with the loss. So what does that mean about his future, or what are you hearing about potential trade talks as we have the trade deadline looming?
Well, trade deadline's just under 2 months away, March 25th. I talked to Bradley Beal's agent the other day, Mark Bartelstein, and he said the only conversations he's had with Bradley and the only focus he has right now is on trying to get this Wizards team turned around. They're starting to get some players back out of the health and safety protocols. They'll have some more bodies to compete. But listen, he's been a very unique player in that marketplace. He surprised some people when he signed that shorter-term extension, a year ago. He's still under contract through next year. He could opt out in 22-23. But I think this is a conversation for the Wizards and Beal that perhaps has had in the offseason. He is not going to be on the trade market here in the near future, and he's not expressed really at all yet that he's ready to move on. He has loved that city, that organization, and he has fought through a lot there. He's fighting through a lot right now.
I'm just curious, because we were all in tune to the James Harden trade, and obviously that was a big deal. But what would the market be like for a guy like Bradley Beal, kind of almost comparing those two situations?
Massive. It would be massive. And I think every team in the league would have interest in trying to find a way. Do we have the assets to get Bradley Beal? Do we think we could keep him long term? But at 27 years old, this is a player, and especially at that wing position, and the kind of character he has, the kind of leader he is, he fits anywhere. And listen, teams every day in this league are monitoring this situation. They want to know if he gets lodged free in terms of the Wizards being willing to talk about trades. It is a daily conversation among other teams. But Washington, Beal, they're not there yet.
Well, Bradley Beal right now in his 9th season, obviously not showing any signs of slowing down. Paul Pierce, Jalen Rose, you've played in the league. Uncle P, if he called you right now, what would be the advice you would give Mr. Beal?
I understand his frustrations. I was in a similar predicament in Boston. My 9th year, we were the worst team in the league. I'm in the middle of my prime. Behind closed doors, didn't see any light at the end of the tunnel. So what I would tell Bradley Beal is just be patient. You play out the year, see what happens then. Come summertime, they may get a high draft pick they can trade for a great player to come play next to you. I know it's frustrating, Bill. You want to be recognized as one of the top players in the league because, listen, if he was on a top-tier team, he'd be considered the best two-guard in the league, and that's frustrating when you're in your prime. So just be patient and see what happens this summer.
I agree with you. He's definitely at a crossroad. He loves D.C., and also, everybody loves being the guy. And now that they traded John Wall, he is that. However, P, they're 6-19 when he scores 40. Don't go in the office and ask to be traded now. But this offseason, and I believe in their general manager, Tommy Shepard, but this offseason, they really have to address this roster. Because when I watch them play, the teams that they're losing to are better than them. That's why his 40 don't matter. It ain't that he ain't a game-changing player. Woj is exactly right. Any team in the league will want a 27-year-old Bradley Beal that averages 35 points.
Right.
He averaging 35, P. I know you could appreciate that.
It's tough to watch those go to waste.
Well, guys, and Bradley Beal has been honest. He was asked in a press conference whether or not he was frustrated. He said, "Is the sky blue?" But obviously, you got to make a decision and figure out things at your own pace. And it's been a unique season. Obviously, we're trying to get you set for our doubleheader, our Friday night doubleheader. Zion Williamson coming off of a 32-point game. He and Brandon Ingram were able to get the win over Bradley Beal and the Washington Wizards on Wednesday. We got tip-off coming soon between the Bucks and the Pelicans.
Ben Baker, I see you, my G.
Friday night doubleheader. We start with the Pelicans. Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. They combined for 64 points on Wednesday. They got the victory, but now they get the Bucks. And Giannis Antetokounmpo, just one of two players right now, averaging 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. That will kick off our Friday. But first, we tip it off with Countdown.
The hottest team in the NBA, the Utah Jazz.
And out it goes to Clarkson. Cannot be stopped. Come on. He did. Come on. Clarkson with 31.
The Jazz have won 10 straight.
Giannis and the Bucks are a power in the East, but is it their MVP's weakness that could keep them from a championship? Plus, the Pelicans, they've done anything but fly this season. What they can change and why Jalen thinks they're the worst watch in the league. Plus, can Luka carry this Mavericks team to the playoffs? And what makes the Jazz so smooth? That's next on Countdown.
High IQ basketball player takes the contact, gets the shot. I'm struggling from the field. That's how the green ones get it going.
Now, floor is space. Zion on the lob. Yes!
He's ready.
Welcome to NBA Countdown, presented by Mountain Dew.
Happy Friday and welcome to NBA Countdown. We are coming to you live from the Seaport District in New York City, brought to you by Chase. I am so blessed and thankful to have my brothers and my uncle here with me. Paul Pierce, Uncle P, Jalen Rose, still here looking clean. Adrian Wojnarowski is certainly going to join us later. And it's really great to have family around you because obviously right now, the sports world is mourning the loss of a legend. His name is John Chaney, and for 24 seasons, he was at the helm at Temple University. He was the first black coach to reach 700 wins. He was back-to-back the National Coach of the Year. Remember, his teams were obviously winners, only one losing season, and that was his first year at Temple. But one thing that he did for every single player that came through his door was teach him a life lesson. He took care of them, and that's what he was dedicated to. When he retired, he said that it wasn't about wins and losses. It's about the players, the coaches that he affected along the way. And so when you heard the news of John Chaney passing at the age of 89, what's the first thing that went through your mind about his life and his legacy, Jalen?
I was saddened, but also encouraged by all of the young people that he got a chance to influence. Fortunately for me, I had a home visit with Temple. My high school coach, Perry Watson, was actually really good friends with John Chaney. And at the University of Michigan, we played against Temple 2 years in a row and eliminated them in the NCAA tournament when they had Rick Brunson, Eddie Jones, and Aaron McKee. And I'll tell anybody that will ask me, if they didn't lose to us, I felt like they were going to win it all. They were that good. They were that well coached. They were that disciplined. And the elephant in the room also for collegiate sports and NFL and NBA is that there aren't as many black people in power as you see out there on the floor performing. John Chaney, John Thompson, these gentlemen were revealed by clearly their players, but by everybody else in collegiate basketball as well.
Absolutely, and left behind not only that legacy, but of winning. I mean, 23 winning seasons, and Uncle P, I mean, you came up on the losing end of one of those games against John Chaney
You
at
only
Temple.
lose 7 games in college. You remember all of them, and one of them was to Coach Chaney. I just remember he was a fiery coach, very influential. I had a friend, dear friend, that played for him, Derek Batty. That's the first time I heard. I woke up this morning and he sent the text, and he was like showing me that Coach Chaney had passed away, and he was an icon, you know, in the basketball world and in the college world, and we all looked up to him. He was very respected, and a coach you hated to play against, I'll tell you that.
Zone defense.
Yes.
Definitely stifled my teams.
It could slow down anyone, but he was a trailblazer. He was an icon, and a guy who covered the mighty A-10 was Adrian Wojnarowski when he was in school. And Woj, what's a story you have that could kind of help us understand the type of man that John Chaney was?
Yeah, John Chaney was the first legendary coach I had ever been exposed to. And I was a freshman at St. Bonaventure. Temple came into our gym for one of their legendary early morning practices. They would practice at 6 a.m. I snuck up into the upper levels so I could watch and listen to Chaney. He had the team surround him. He talked about life. He talked about opportunities and opportunities that don't come again. After about 45 minutes, they wheeled the rack of balls back out of the gym. Everybody put their coats on and left. They never touched the ball that day in practice.
It's an incredible story. And, I went back and watched some of his Hall of Fame speech. And one thing that he mentioned was when he took the job at Temple, he met with the president and he said, we promise we're not going to move Temple University. It will be in the inner city. That offers you more opportunities to affect the community. He said, when I heard that, I felt that, and I never left Temple after that. So rest in power, John Chaney, passing away.
Rest in peace, Coach.
Yes, absolutely.